How you gonna feel when you're alone in the dark and there's no one there? How you gonna feel next time you see me I'm with someone else? Vocals of some drum and bass song that I really like. So I'm gonna piece back once again with part 4 of the analysis of this, the virile, superb powers of manhood. Right, I think I got that a little bit confused. Power of Superb Manhood by Bernard McFadden, an American nutritionist. We went over a couple things in the last three parts, three parts, talking about the dangers of masturbation, expelling the nutrients of the body, which leads to a debilitation, a weakness in stature, a weakness in memory, mental debilitation, you name it, physical debilitation. We found out a physician's appraisal of these bad symptoms that come from excessive indulgence of the sexual organ. We're at the last part of this chapter of masturbation. So like, comment, subscribe. Let's continue here. So the name of this part of the chapter is Harsh Names for Parents, basically highlighting the parents' permittance of masturbation in their children by not scolding them when they were able to spot those symptoms. But the parents are not to be blamed completely because they were ignorant as well. Their parents did not stop them from masturbating, therefore they will not be able to locate the negatives of masturbation or of the negatives of the physical symptoms from masturbation in their children. So they can't be blamed completely. There's so much to learn in this place. There's so much to learn. And there's not so little time. There's a lot of time because time is nothing. Whatever we don't learn in this reality, we are probably going to come back or go to a parallel reality just in case our souls try to give us some sort of memory to help us deal with this the replayed reality in a much more effective way. The monad is incredibly intelligent. Okay, let's continue. There is no name too harsh with which one could designate such unfeeling, despicable, prudish parents. The lowest animals of the earth protect their own progeny from destructive influences, but these creatures, dressed in clothes that hide their filthy bodies and depraved brains, allow their children to enter these vile pitfalls without a word of protest. Because at the end of the day, they don't know. If you don't know what danger looks like, how can you warn others of that impending danger, of when they're in the mire, when they're in the ocean of this danger? There's no way. There's just nothing you could do. It's just, oh, I was doing that when I was their age, so let them go for it. At least they're not going out shooting people. Well, not yet, Mr. Bonningham, not yet. And hopefully not, of course, but I'm telling you that strength, that conditioning, that very powerful, I don't know, operant conditioning, I couldn't tell you. But that very powerful conditioning of the orgasm, the feeling of orgasm, does a lot to the brain and the restructuring of moral compass. Trust me, as one that was in the midst of the abyss and brought himself out of it, because light cannot be hidden for too long, right? Something like that. If such prudes ever are generated an original idea, if there has ever been a single occasion where humanity has been improved, either individually or collectively, because of their having lived, the writer would like to hear of it. Because now they're not even talking about the negatives of masturbation, right? They're not talking about parents being ignorant or kids being ignorant because of the lack of guidance from their parents. They're just talking about now, there's no way any creative or original thought could be conceived in the mind of a degenerate, one that practices masturbation. Coming up with an original idea and following it through and through without any sort of support, yeah, that's not gonna happen. Parents without hearts. If you are a parent, a guardian, and have one atom of truth or of love in your heart, warn your boys and your girls too of the terrible evils that they must avoid. Neglect is imperative duty, and if there is hell in the other world, you fully deserve an important position there, for you have assisted in no small way to make a hell on this earth for your own child. I'm not going to put such a horrible sort of title on my parents, right? The privates of hell, the hell army. No, but I was not getting warned or sort of guided in terms of sex properly by any of my parents. My mom just basically said to me, Sombra, if you do not ever have sex, because it's like turning on a faucet. Once you turn it on, the water keeps running and it's hard to turn it off. To be honest, all the girlfriends that I had, I introduced them to my mom. Not all of them, but the ones I did introduce to her, she never really liked them, which was really, really interesting. So I guess that was one end of the spectrum, which is just like, don't indulge in sex at all, which is a very good lesson. On Dad's end, right, when I went to go live with him in England, he was like, you got to tackle everything that you see. It doesn't matter if you're married, it doesn't matter if you're in a committed relationship. As long as you indulge in that urge, we must as men, or else we wouldn't have it. By the way, this is an avid Bible reader, and he went to Mass, this place called Jesus House, this Christian establishment edifice in the middle of North London, Brent Cross, where a whole bunch of the rest of his people from Nigeria also that lived in England also went and also committed the same atrocities and sexual sin in the same frequency. All in all, what I'm saying is that parents cannot be blamed completely for your negligence if they were ignorant themselves. What needs to be done is that there needs to be more mentors that teach this thing. There is no crime more dastardly that deserves more punishment than this. Adults have some protection against crime. They are fully aware of its existence, but children look up to and depend on their parents for protection. And it would injure them far less if they were beaten on the head near unto death with a club than it would to allow them innocently to acquire and practice the secret vice, because they validate it. The thing is, the direct physical action, like beating a kid on the head with a club, although it's very, very sad, the fact that a kid will start masturbating, remember, and he wasn't guided at all, he came up upon this practice on his own, and he's going to continue to perpetuate it completely again and again. And he will not understand, and he will validate to himself all of these horrible actions to continue chasing and obtaining the feeling of orgasm until he stops, until he gets a literal medical condition that disables him from continuing that. People are willing to commit the craziest of atrocities in order to perpetuate this feeling. This is life. This is how life goes on. The reason why we have parks and playgrounds and buildings like this is because we have a few individuals in this world that sort of figured it out to some degree and to some level. There can't be a mass instantaneous exodus of individuals from this world or individuals to ascension. Rather, agencies and facilities like these help provide comfort to the individuals that are continuously committing these acts until they get it, I suppose. Next part of the chapter, causes more misery than all other sexual sins. Private fornication causes 20 times more misery than any other sexual sin. And this is substantially the opinion of all who have examined this subject. If a loved child must practice either, O merciful God, deliver all from such dilemma, almost as soon let it die. Any other cup of bitterness is less bitter. Nothing, O fond parent, can render your beloved offspring more completely wretched. There's definitely a truth to this. The problem with masturbation is not the act completely, because although you are losing nutrients with no actual benefit, that is a catalyst to all the other sins that lead to a whole bunch of introduction of diseases, validations of immoral behaviors. We've talked about this already. Is there any hope for the fallen? Again and again, the question is asked, can the effect of this terrible evil be eradicated? A boy can never be the man he might have been had the habit never been practiced, though he can undoubtedly recover from its effects and develop a fine, vigorous physique if the proper efforts are made. It is late, guys. I'm sorry. I'm committed. You guys, are you? To such an unfortunate, the writer would say, follow the system of exercises illustrated here. Take up all sorts of outdoor exercises like this, or just going to the gym, being active, being the opposite of sedentary. Live in the open air as much as you can and vow with an unflinching determination that you will be a man, that you will conquer the terrible habit. Read carefully all the advice in reference to building sexual vigor, and you can depend on complete recovery and upon the acquirement of a degree of health and strength that will be far above the average, though if the habit had been practiced for very long, a certain amount of vital and general physical vigor has no doubt been sacrificed beyond recall. This is the end of that chapter, written by Bernard McFadden, someone that is a very, very credible source. He tells us in the closing statements of the chapter, saying that if you have indulged a lot sexually, you have lost a lot of physical strength. That is just the reality that cannot be recollected, that cannot be reclaimed, that cannot be replenished. What is to be deduced? What is to be gleaned from this information? For the most part, our parents have failed us because they were ignorant about the negatives of masturbation. They were ignorant about what lack of masturbation does for the body and the soul and the perceptions of the physical reality. What we need to do now as individuals of this modern time that watches Somer del Piso, that watches a whole bunch of other content, right, talking about semen retention, we need to serve as beacons of light for other individuals, lest they fall into the same traps that our older selves, our past selves, were deep into. We need to, with this information, teach others and light the way for others to carry on the words of Bernard McFadden into the future and beyond, to establish a very, very powerfully thinking public, a very, very powerful thinking group of males that do not fall victim to foreign ideology, to foreign threats, degenerative ideology that has more or less taken over the modern societies and first worlds now. And with that being said, that is all I have to talk to you about in regards to chapter 3 of Bernard's Superb Powers of Manhood book. If you like that content, like, comment, subscribe, share the video with some peers. We are going to continue talking about semen retention until our lungs go dry, our tongue falls out, and our lips go chapped. Because this is a practice that lifts even the most ridiculed of jesters to the heights of the celebrated kings of old. In order to truly understand the nature of this reality, we must dive deep into the practice and teach others to go into the practice and cooperate and collaborate with others that are also on this upward bound ascension. Broadcast this way to people of the world to change the trajectory of the degeneracy of this place. Don't let this place get you down, and stay radiant. I shall see you guys in the next video. Okay.